January 22nd, 2026, Yibin, Sichuan. At a live event promoting the China Good Person list, Fan Shiqi had barely stepped onto the stage when the livestream comment feed erupted. Doubt, anger, and ridicule flooded the screen. Within minutes, the atmosphere spiraled out of control, and organizers asked him to leave. The moment quickly spread online, becoming another direct collision between public judgment and an official moral narrative. At first, many viewers assumed Fan Shiqi himself had been honored as a China Good Person. In fact, his assigned role was more indirect. He was introduced as a storyteller, someone chosen to stand on stage and recount the virtuous deeds of others. Yet even without this misunderstanding, the outcome was likely inevitable. In popular intuition, merely appearing on the China Good Person list stage already signals moral endorsement. A storyteller is not neutral. He is expected to embody credibility, trustworthiness, and moral cleanliness. Someone associated with serious allegations of violence cannot plausibly occupy that role, regardless of the technicalities. What is the China Good Person list? The China Good Person list is a long-running state-sponsored initiative led by China's central propaganda authorities and promoted through official media outlets nationwide. It emerged in the early 2000s, a period when rapid economic change had eroded older ideological frameworks, while no new shared moral consensus had yet taken hold. Officially, the project claims to promote truth, goodness, and beauty, and to advance what is termed spiritual civilization. In practice, its deeper function is compensatory. As collective ideology lost persuasive power, the system required a softer, more emotionally resonant moral framework, one that did not depend on political belief, but on feeling. The figure of the good person became that substitute. To many observers, such campaigns appear benign, even commendable. Who could object to celebrating kindness or selflessness? As a result, these events continue to draw audiences and participation. The problem lies not in compassion itself, but in how compassion is used. Rather than encouraging people to ask why suffering exists or how it might be prevented, these narratives focus on how individuals should endure suffering gracefully. Illness, poverty, accidents, and sacrifice recur as stock motifs. Structural failures are reframed as personal misfortune. Systemic injustice is transformed into individual resilience. Questions that might demand responsibility are quietly resolved through emotional uplift. What might otherwise provoke inquiry dissolves instead into brief moments of inspiration, often ending in tears. The second tier, when emotion replaces judgment. Many people sense that something is off in these stories, even if they struggle to explain it. Milan Kundera offered a useful metaphor for this discomfort: the second tier. The first tier is straightforward. It is the genuine sadness one feels when confronted with another person's suffering. The second tier is shared for a different reason: how moving it is that we are all moved together. The danger lies not in empathy, but in its repetition. When narratives are designed to reliably trigger the second tier, emotion becomes both the purpose and the endpoint. Once moved, the audience is expected to stop there. And questions fade. Why did this suffering happen? Could it have been prevented? Who is responsible? Kundera called this mechanism totalitarian kitsch. It does not deny suffering, it displays it openly, but only after wrapping it in meaning, positivity, and moral harmony. Suffering must never lead outward, toward the system that produced it. The China Good Person list operates precisely in this way. It offers emotional release while quietly steering people away from analysis, judgment, and accountability. Seen through this lens, Fan Shiqi's selection was not an accident. Hannah Arendt, famously observed that totalitarian systems are sustained not primarily by fanatics, but by ordinary functionaries, people who treat obedience as duty and execution as responsibility. They need not believe deeply. They only need to comply smoothly. The same logic applies to China's contemporary moral selection mechanisms. Based on multiple leaked audio and video recordings connected to the Yibin case, Fan Shiqi is widely suspected of serious acts of violence. Yet within a totalitarian framework, moral worth is not measured by personal conduct in a civic sense. What matters more is reliability, adherence to rules, willingness to perform assigned roles, and absence of political risk. From the system's perspective, a good person storyteller requires exactly this kind of predictability. Fan Shiqi met that criterion. The moral standard that cannot be stated. In totalitarian systems, morality is not grounded in rights, dignity, or ethical autonomy. It is grounded in obedience. But this standard cannot be stated openly. The system cannot declare obedience a virtue outright. Instead, it embeds that message through repetition, role models, and emotional display. The virtues emphasized, endurance, tolerance, self-sacrifice, restraint, are carefully chosen. Civic consciousness, human rights, and accountability are conspicuously absent. This is why the public reaction to Fan Shiqi diverged so sharply from the system's judgment. People were not reacting emotionally in the way the narrative anticipated. They were judging. Why the system misfired. The backlash did not arise because the system violated its own moral logic. It arose because the system misread the audience. Totalitarian kitsch only functions when public understanding remains confined within the interpretive framework provided by the state. In the Yibin case, that condition no longer held. Unedited recordings circulated widely before any official conclusion was announced. People watched, replayed, compared, and discussed them. Independent judgment formed first. Against that background, the official explanation, accidental fall, criminal factors excluded, failed to persuade. When Fan Shiqi later appeared on stage as a narrator of moral goodness, the dissonance was too great to absorb. Public anger, long contained, surfaced instantly. This incident illustrates a deeper paradox. The more a totalitarian system seeks total control, the more it suppresses genuine feedback. Over time, that suppression erodes the system's own ability to perceive reality. When propaganda mechanisms continue operating according to old assumptions, assuming automatic emotional compliance, while public cognition has already shifted, breakdown becomes inevitable. The failure of the China Good Person List event does not signal immediate systemic collapse, but it does reveal something crucial. The moral spectacle no longer functions as intended. The machinery still turns, but the audience has begun to look away and to judge.